All right, let's get into it. We're talking about fast enumeration. Now, if you've spent any time in a cybersecurity lab, you've heard that term. And you've probably also felt that moment where it just dissolves into this mess of scans and wild guesses. Well, today we're going to fix that. We're going to build a disciplined, repeatable routine that actually gets the job done.
Does this feel a little too real? I know it does for me. Your screen looks incredibly busy. You feel like you're doing a lot, but when you step back, there's no story. You can't explain what you're doing or why. You're just wasting time, losing focus, and honestly, building some really bad habits. So, in this explainer, we're going to trade that chaos for some real, hard-earned confidence. So first things first, we've got to clear up a massive misunderstanding. A lot of us fall right into what I call the enumeration trap. We hear fast and we immediately think it means launching more aggressive tools, bigger word lists, or just typing commands faster. But that's not it at all. It's actually the opposite.
Here's the real goal. It's about building a service story. You need to think of yourself less like a button pusher and more like a detective. Speed doesn't come from the number of tools you throw at a box. It comes from the order in which you ask questions. You're taking a complete unknown and turning it into a clear, explainable plan of attack.
Okay, so if we want to build that winning plan, we have to know what breaks it in the first place. So let's dive into some of the most brutal, most common mistakes, both in our strategy and in our thinking, that absolutely kill our time and focus in the lab.
There are two huge strategic mistakes we all make. First, kicking things off with a massive, all-ports aggressive scan. It feels professional, it feels thorough, but really you're just paying a 5 to 15-minute time tax right at the start for information you can't even use yet. Then there's the web-first bias. We get seduced by the shiny web pages because they give us instant feedback, and that can become a rabbit hole that just eats your entire night.
And this quote right here, it just nails the solution perfectly. Before you even think about opening a browser, you've got to prioritize checking out those other, more boring services. Web is just one chapter in the whole story. And believe me, a lot of the time, it's not even the most important one.
Now, beyond just strategy, our own thinking can be our worst enemy. Blindly trusting the output from a default script, that's a classic trap. That version banner you see, it could be wrong. It could be a proxy, a container, it could even be deliberately misleading. And then there's the hidden killer of all progress, messy notes. If your notes are just a random pile of copy-pastes, you're not learning. Every single new lab just feels like you're starting from scratch. It's Groundhog Day.
But hey, the good news is this is totally fixable. To combat trusting defaults, you just adopt the two-signal rule. A banner's just a rumor, right? You need a second hint, like how the service actually behaves before you can form a real hypothesis. And for those messy notes, a super simple 3-line template for every service. What's the evidence? What's your hypothesis? And what is your next check? I know, it feels slower in the moment, but it makes you exponentially faster on every single machine that comes after. Okay, so we've torn apart all the problems. Now, let's build the solution. This is it, the elegant, repeatable 15-minute routine that is designed to counter all those mistakes and build some real, actual momentum. Now, what's so cool about this flow is the discipline that it forces on you. Look at this. It starts with 2 whole minutes for basic checks and to actually write down a hypothesis before you even scan. Then, a quick TCP discovery, just to get the lay of the land. It's only then that you zoom in on the key services and notice that short, time-boxed UDP check. It's not about finding everything, it's about reducing doubt quickly. And web comes last, and only if it's actually relevant. This right here is the whole philosophy. Every single step in that 15-minute routine isn't about running another tool just for the sake of it. It's about upgrading your confidence in the story you're building. You're systematically moving from total uncertainty to a clear, explainable plan, one piece of evidence at a time. In fact, we can boil that whole flow down into 4 simple actions you can memorize right now. 1. Discover fast. Just get the outline of the story. 2. Validate twice. Use that 2-signal rule before you go down a rabbit hole. 3. Map the human context. Who owns this service? And 4. Time box everything. Those timers, they aren't restrictions. They're your speed engine. They keep you honest. So what's the real payoff here? What do you get out of all this? Well, this isn't just about getting through one lab faster. It's about building a repeatable system that makes every single session you have more effective and, frankly, a lot less frustrating. Let's make this really concrete. The source material had this awesome little calculator. Think about it. If you do, say, 12 practice labs a month, and this routine helps you cut just 8 minutes of wasted, chaotic time from each one, that's 96 minutes. That's over an hour and a half of your life back every month. That is real, tangible progress.
And this table just ties it all together beautifully. This is your cheat sheet for turning that pain into actual practice. Every single one of those common mistakes has a direct, actionable technique to master it. See, it's not about being a genius, it's about being disciplined.
You know, this quote from the author's own experience, it really hits home. After getting completely stuck down a web rabbit hole, he realized the real entry point was this quiet, unglamorous service he'd almost completely ignored. And the lesson here is so powerful. The machine wasn't clever. His routine was lazy. The most effective path forward is often the most boring one.
So let's end this with a challenge for you. The very next time you sit down in front of a new lab machine, I want you to set a timer for 15 minutes. And when that timer goes off, ask yourself this question. If you can't explain your plan of attack in a single, clear paragraph, well, your enumeration isn't done. But if you can, you're not just faster, you're in control.